All right, welcome everyone to the very first Australian Watch Club podcast. Today we have here two very special guests from the world of YouTube. We have Jody from Just One More Watch.
Good morning.
And we have Al from the Watch Channel.
Thank you. Hi guys.
Who are you? Because you haven't said who
me.
you are. You may be...
All right, so my name is Sam. I look after the Australian Watch Club as well as the Australian Watch Insurance. So today we're going to talk about our hauls from the recent Aliexpress sale. No thanks to Jody who got me into this whole...
Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's your
whole
problem.
Aliexpress thing.
Blame Jody, why not?
Why not? So I think we've all got very different watches from what I've seen from Jody's preview into what you wanted to get.
Yeah.
Al and I've spoken, so I kind of know what Al's got. I think our tastes are very different in terms of what we like.
Yeah, should be good.
So I thought we'll display our hauls and go through, why we got these watches, if we like them, our experiences and whatnot.
Excellent.
Sounds good. So why AliExpress? Why do we all buy watches? Lots of watches from AliExpress then. What's the draw? What's the appeal to you guys?
For me personally, it's the element of variety and cost, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Because you can choose a wide variety of watches that you like from an aesthetic standpoint, but can afford them as well. It just gives you the ability to, for me, I think it's the ability to actually look at something without that expense and go, is this something I'd invest more money on with a reputable brand is not the right word, but with a well-known luxury brand.
Yeah, luxury. I think luxury is the word, isn't it? Yeah. Quite what that means, who knows? But luxury.
Well, for me, I've worked in the watch industry pretty much all my life, so I've been around luxury watches and I've become quite blasé about what each person pays for a watch. And it's funny because working in the industry doesn't mean you can afford the watches that you sell. And so with my finance being where it is, I thought I still want to buy watches. I'm not the kind of person that just say, I'll save up to buy one good watch. I'd rather use that same amount to buy lots of nice watches. And after watching various YouTube channels, I thought I'll take the plunge given that there's a sale on. And thought I'll give it a go. It's not a huge investment into...
Is this your first time then?
Yeah.
Are you an AliExpress version? Oh, exactly. Right. I'll be really interested to see what you bought and what you think of it, therefore. If you're a first timer. Al and I are old hands. We've been around the block a few times with Ali. I started buying them a few years ago from Ali because you just can't get the specifications for the money elsewhere. Anywhere, from micro brands, from big brands, from anybody. You have to go straight to the source. The world is made in China. You may as well buy it direct.
Yeah.
Plus, as you said, you can have a look at more expensive designs. I've got a couple in my bag today, my personal bag, that I would never be able to afford the original watches. Whereas I can spend a couple $100 and get a taste of it for a lot less money.
Yeah.
I think the way Seiko sort of increased their prices over the past few years, that was my go-to brand originally. Because you could, with the Sumo or those, what was $500 back then is now $850, $900, or even $1,200.
Yeah.
And that's what sort of pushed me down AliExpress. Was like you say, the specs that you get there for $150 to $200, you're paying $500, $600, $700 easy in another brand.
Definitely.
All right, so shall we get into the watches?
Yeah, well,
Absolutely.
Are we doing the wristwatch checks today? What have we got?
Yeah,
what have we got on?
All right, so I will start. So as a comparison, I've brought my trusty Zenith, this is the A384.
And I'm guessing this wasn't from AliExpress.
No,
Okay.
And I got to say, sorry, Sam, when I saw it on your wrist, I thought it was an AliExpress version. I had to backtrack when you told me it was actually a Zenith. But yeah, beautiful watch.
So this is back when I was working at Zenith. So one of the watches when they first released one, I just knew I had to get it.
It is a beautiful watch.
It is gorgeous.
And it's such a nice size as well. It makes you realise how big some watches actually are.
Yeah.
And they don't need to be.
Unnecessarily big.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what's on my wrist today. Next up.
I'll go next. So this is my second most recent acquisition, and this was from the AliExpress anniversary sale, and it's the San Martin SN008, I think is the reference.
You remember the
Oh, you remember
Sorry.
Sam Martin references. You're doing well. I have no idea. I lost track years ago.
So, and you know what? I've never really been a fan of the Black Bay 58, which this is a homage to. But that bezel, the way it glints, and the pure sort of blinginess of it really attracted me.
Nice.
And again, not to reference you as the enabler.
Sorry. I'm just going to spend this entire experience apologising.
Just copying Greaves.
Yeah, sorry about that.
But it was, I think my price point has always been around the 200 mark. This was a little bit more than that. And I was keen to see what the variation in quality was. So that's my my most recent haul.
Okay.
Very nice. I came with two today, both kind of classics. That is the Steeldive Willard, their 1970, which is obviously a Seiko 6105 homage. These are everywhere, and they just get cheaper every year. They're amazing, stainless sapphire Seiko movement. I think I paid $115 for my most recent one of these, which is just that's Australian dollars, by the way.
Yeah, not US.
Plus this Boltony, I got that one last November in the last big sale. Just love the thing. Military style chronograph, a bit of the Dirty Dozen look. Again, that one was 150 US. This time I'm talking US dollars, but just a really good looking watch. I think it's a Hamilton design. Not sure how original it is, but yeah, really great looking watch for the money I paid for it.
Is
Yeah,
beautiful.
and the crystal was amazing on that one.
Is that the original strap, or is that?
No, they're both on Barton silicones. I find them super comfortable.
That
20,
looks nice.
20 US each or so. But yeah, that's a forever strap. It just fits the watch really nicely.
Lovely.
All right. Speaking of Hamilton,
Ooh,
Designs,
right, nice
homages.
segue.
Right.
We're in.
well, I wasn't sure what this was an homage to, but it wasn't an obvious homage.
Okay.
And this is something I'm a bit undecided about how I feel about homage watches. So I don't like I'm not quite into the whole sort of obvious homages, but this one was, I think it was obscure enough. So it's a W10 homage. So I believe Hamilton's currently doing one of these, and there's a few other brands, smaller micro brands that are doing these homages. This one runs an in-house movement. It's the Fanzi something or other. I did my research last night, I've forgotten it completely.
Yes.
But I believe it was based on the original Chinese movement. There's a common watch movement.
Oh, the seagull.
Something. So
Is it manual wind?
It's manual wind, so it's based on that.
Okay.
Who
Who makes this one?
Unitas.
So what brand is it?
Merkur
Okay, right.
or Merkur.
They're really interesting, but their marketing is appalling. They don't know how to sell a watch. They know how to make a watch, but they don't know how to sell a watch. So,
But I really like this. I like this. I like the style. I like the fact that it's a stereo dial. And this is one of the only ones I've actually kept the time on, just to see how good Chinese movement can be. And it's running +3 a day.
yeah, wow, that's pretty good. Now, how much was that one?
I think this is 180
180 US?
Aussie.
Aussie. And is that the original strap?
No.
Okay, you've
I
added
don't. I
something.
very rarely keep them on original straps.
Okay. Oh, that is pretty. May I look at the back? Can you see the movement? No. Close case back.
I'm very happy with it. The finishing is fantastic.
Yeah, no, these are quite common, that little case, slightly kind of toned case. Very pretty.
Yeah, I've not seen that brand before. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So they do have quite a few sub brands as well.
Okay.
Mostly military-inspired retros, so to speak, but yeah, very well priced.
How's the loom on it?
Loom's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not fussed about loom. Like I like it when it's really bright, but I'm not like it's not a deal breaker.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I don't have to have loom. Yeah. So I'm very happy with that one. Jody, what do you have?
Well, what did I get? I got a Steeldive, so I came with a Steeldive on my wrist, and I bought one more Steeldive myself. But I don't know. This one was a bit meh. I wasn't convinced by it. I'll stick it under the camera. You can see what you think yourself. It's from their, what do they call it? A Steelflier. So they're acknowledging that it isn't a dive watch, which is a good thing. As I said, the marketing's not always right.
That VH31?
Yes, it's got a Seiko VH31, which is a kind of mecha quartz 3-hander. So 4 ticks per second, 2.5 year battery life, and plus or minus 15 seconds a month. So you get the accuracy of a quartz, but with the looks of a mechanical, which was part of the appeal. I've had a couple of these watches, the VH31s, in the past. and enjoyed them. But this one, I don't know. The dial wasn't quite what I was hoping for. It looks a bit cheesy.
Right.
The hands don't seem to be the right colour for some reason.
Is that right? They're white. They should be black, maybe.
Or they don't. Do they match the numbers? Is that? Well, they match numbers.
Yeah, it just...
No, something's not right there.
I wasn't convinced by that one. I unboxed it and I haven't worn it since the unboxing. I'll be honest, mind you, I did buy so many watches. Not all of them get the love that they deserve, unfortunately. But
do you guys know that VH31 movement? Is there any brand out there that is not on AliExpress that uses that movement? Because I'm not aware of. I mean, I'd never heard of that movement until I saw those watches on AliExpress.
yeah, I think some micro brands use them. The Trafford, I reviewed a Trafford Crossroads, which again is another kind of square case watch, and he's doing a choice of SW200 or VH31 at a reduced price. I would love to see more of those, but people are biased against quartz. People don't like quartz. You say quartz, I switched off as soon as you said quartz, but not before I left this angry comment about the fact that it's a quartz.
The funny thing about that is because I went down the quartz rabbit hole with Grand Seiko, and
It's the best one to go to, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the Chronomaster. That was my first.
Yeah,
quartz.
the Citizen.
I need to have one of those.
Yeah.
I've still not got one.
Yeah.
You have it on
So
YouTube?
Not today. I've only got 2 arms. I couldn't wear a third watch.
But yeah, I get a lot of hate. Like, it's a quartz. It's crap. I think for me, all of the guys back in the day that were making watches, from those famous brands, they would use that technology, that hand, because it was there to increase the accuracy of timekeeping.
And that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a legitimate component of time.
We are all mad going for these old ancient technologies, but we do it.
But
We do it
you know,
anyway.
for me, it was like, look, it's hand assembled, it's handcrafted. It gives you that accuracy, and quite frankly, it doesn't give you any of the servicing issues, which is a completely separate topic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, that's watch number 1. Bit meh. I don't know. It wasn't expensive. It was $100 US or just under $100 US. You get plenty of specs for the money. Stainless, sapphire, all the rest of it, decent strap, but it just didn't fill me with joy when I opened the box.
Right.
So there we are.
Fair enough.
A maybe.
All right. So this is another recent addition.
Yeah, I think we should show the box
Show the
first.
box.
Ooh.
A Pagani Deluxe.
We're in a library, by the way, so it looks like a library book. It doesn't look like a giant,
opens up.
a weighty tome on the table.
Unfortunately, the warranty manual instruction booklet doesn't look like a book. But so I got this. This arrived last week, and typically what I go for on the channel is what I actually like, which is dive watches, sports related.
Yeah.
So this was somewhat of a slight deviation, and it was. We'll move this out of the way. The Oyster Perpetual homage. So Seiko NH35, sapphire crystal, all the usual specs that you get. Rolex style bracelet. Unfortunately, no glide lock, but it does have screwed links, solid end links. Loom is actually a little better than what Pagani traditionally produce, but I think maybe 110, 120,
Wow.
including delivery.
Yeah.
And again, 8 days from China to here, and it just compounds that fascination with AliExpress.
Yeah.
Just what you get, and you know, the first time. This is what I'm really interested to know from you, Sam. Is the first time something arrived from AliExpress for me, I was like, I am going to open up dog shit here. Right? And this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I was absolutely gobsmacked, to the point that for a week I was there. Is this real?
Yeah.
Have I just been lucky?
Do you know, their stuff has got a lot better. You can't generalize, but the quality, even Pagani's, I've been reviewing Pagani's for maybe 4.5 years, and the quality, I think they're all forcing each other to get better.
Yeah.
It was kind of slim pickings for stuff with sapphire and stainless steel, but now that's got screw link bracelet, stainless steel screw link bracelet, adjustable clasp, sapphire crystal, and it costs $120 as opposed to $8.5 for a Rolex.
So you find that it's been the last couple of years that the quality has gotten a lot better?
Yeah, I definitely think they're really pushing the envelope of what you can get for the money and how nice it actually is.
Do you think that's just down to manufacturing technology? Or
I think they're selling more, and people are buying more, and they're buying slightly better stuff than maybe they did a few years ago.
Do you think the economy's made any sort of difference to how people are now looking at buying watches, and I suppose the proliferation and uptake of sales on Horage, all those brands from Aliexpress?
I don't know. People. I mean, how many watches do you need? One. So
No, you don't.
It gets a little bit. Yeah, anything over one is a bit of a luxury item in the first place. So I don't know. But maybe people are looking at lower price points than they were a few years ago.
We need to do some sort of survey. How many people has Jody enabled?
Sorry.
That would be wonderful.
Apology 4. I'll keep a count myself. Sorry.
The small GDP of
But why do they put a date complication on a watch, on a copy of a watch that doesn't have a date
I
complication?
know, and that's the most frustrating part is that they're so close.
Yeah.
But
not.
Yeah. And I don't know whether that's intentional. Are they doing that for V3 or V4?
You've got the photocopier out. Why didn't you
set it at 100%.
Didn't you? Yeah. Follow the photocopy.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's again talking about this. The biggest frustration I have with this is it's got the NX35, so it's got a date window under there.
Okay.
Sorry, it's got a date
Yeah.
Dial, but you can't see it. And Pagani, I had the Doxa homage, the orange dial, and that uses, I think, the NH38, which doesn't have the date complications. It's just pull it out, adjust the time. It's things like that. It's like, guys,
a little bit. Yeah.
frustrating, but it's what it is.
Yeah.
All right. What's
So-
next?
Well, you were talking about my version purchase from AliExpress.
Yeah.
So this was
Oh,
well, I went with something
there we
safe.
go.
So it's the Steeldive. That goes all the watches. The Steeldive 1970
It's the 1970,
on the bracelet. Stereo dial again, just because I really did not like their logo. I thought it was just way too big for dial. But yeah, so my initial impression of that was just, I was gobsmacked. It was fantastic. And I remember, I think I was telling you, I was like,
messaged me. So look what I got.
I could not believe how well made that watch is. The loom is fantastic. It's two different color looms too. The bezel loom was blue,
Yep.
and the rest of it was green. So it actually has a really nice sort of two color scheme when it lights up. The only thing I don't like about it is that the clasp is a little bit. It's not as smooth as it could be. Like it takes a bit of effort to really close it.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I mean,
Can't complain.
I can't fault it. And Seiko movement, so NH35 in that one. I was just.
We may as well put all three on the table.
Yeah, I mean, there we are.
So we're all fiddling with them. There we go.
It's a bit of a classic. You kind of have to, if you're into AliExpress watches, you really have to have one of these because
You do.
I remember I reviewed a German watch brand selling one of those Willards for $299 US 5-6 years ago, and I was like, hey, that's a great watch. It's well spec'd. It's got all of the gear in it. And then I was like, oh, hang on, somebody's doing one for 200. Oh, hang on, somebody's doing one for 150. And now they're everywhere, all coming out the same factory, no doubt, with different brand names on the dial or no brand names on the dial, but just incredible. I think people have a slightly different attitude towards a blatant copy of an old design than they do to a blatant copy of a current catalogue watch. I think people are prepared to give these a bit more leeway because, you know, you can't buy the Willard. I mean, Seiko relaunched the Willard a couple of years ago. I appreciate it, but you want an original Willard, you're looking at 5,000-6,000 US. If you want that, and it's an old vintage watch.
And you know what the funny thing is the manufacturing standard of that watch is far below the manufacturing standard of this. So you're getting a superior watch
Right.
Absolutely, yeah.
for $100.
Yeah.
If you get it at the right time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I'm very happy with the bracelet because the one point I have about Seiko is the quality of the bracelet isn't really up to the price they're charging. And the bracelet on this one is much better than... And I do have Seiko, so I feel comfortable in saying that the Seiko bracelets are good. Yeah.
So, Alistair, is that did you buy that one in this sale as well?
That was my first time as a result of watching one of your videos.
Sorry,
I have to have
apology 5.
Again,
Yeah,
there you
sorry.
go. Is that
Yeah,
5?
that's
You're up to
5
20 by the
apologies.
end.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay.
But no, yeah, I saw it on your channel. I was like, this is ludicrous. Like the loom on it, and for me, I love loom on a watch.
Yeah.
The one thing, with a lot of Paganis, that loom is just dire. This, I couldn't believe it. I had to look at it, and again, just waking up in silly hours of the night, going, this is amazing.
It still works.
Well, first of all, yeah, it works, and secondly, the loom on it is fantastic. And all of the watches that I've got have been in the sea and used, like they've all been tested.
Yeah.
Not down to 20 meters, because if I know what time it is, there's time to die if I'm down 20 meters.
Yeah.
But quite frankly, regular seawater, swing in the pool, in the shower, they're all
I should say they're all far better made than most far more expensive watches were even 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
So there, I think we can just stop here. If you're interested in Aliexpress at all, buy a Steeldive 1970. Thanks very much. Yeah, make it your first watch. Have a good look at it, but you'll struggle to get something as good as this thereafter. They're fantastic quality.
Yeah, that's
really nicely done and dirt cheap on it, especially in a sale.
It's probably the worst watch to dive into.
Yeah, okay, maybe it's the worst one because it's all downhill from there.
Well, you set a precedent, don't you? Really?
Yeah,
and you get addicted to it because that's your first watch, and the quality is so good that you want to sort of try more.
Yeah.
And the more you browse, the more that the algorithm suggests watches for you, and
down you go.
There's always different sales that comes up.
Then you go onto his channel. And
sorry, number 6. Sorry, okay.
But no, seriously, I think you're right. There is an element or an argument for both. It's either going to be the first best watch you ever get from AliExpress, or it's the one you lead up to leave you with the that final victory. But we all know you're always still going to go back and
buy another one anyway.
Yeah,
of course. Oh, that's interesting. We all brought those today. That's fitting.
Yeah, that says a lot.
It does say a lot, doesn't it?
It says a lot.
All right, who's next?
I've just done that one.
Okay.
That's you, Jody.
Is it me? Right, what's next? I've got, all right, let's do, as soon as you did a Pagani, I'm going to do a Pagani. And
that's a very different box.
It's a very different box. Well, I paid for the expensive box. I'm too tight to pay for the expensive box.
So did you have to pay for the...
Yeah, there is a difference in price. Right, okay. Is it like 15, 20 bucks, something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Whereas I always pick the cheap box. This is brand new. I'm opening it live. I haven't even opened it live.
Oh, is this one?
This is it. I've got 2 that I haven't even opened. Awful Bond NATO, no thanks.
You get that with every one, don't you?
Blue polishing cloth. I love these. My house is covered in them. And this it should be one of their Patek Philippe lookalikes. Now these are kind of increasingly popular. Hruodland Mari, who are in inverted commas micro brand, redid one of these. I think it's a 1461 reference Patek from the 50s, or 1463, and everybody started buying them a couple of years ago, and so all of the Chinese manufacturers jumped on and thought, oh, well, there's a market for vintage look-alike Pateks. So this has a Mecha Quartz. I think it will be the VK64 Seiko Mecha Quartz movement in it. I think it was 110 or something. Mesh strap. Again, no battery required, decent level of water resistance, and a pretty looking watch. There we are, first time I've seen it, and it looks good. Nice. And like I said, I think people are more open to a copy of a watch that you can't possibly, is unobtainable in the current market. They're tens of thousands of dollars, and they haven't been making them for 60, 70 years. It's kind of all right. It's not the same as wearing a Submariner look-alike with a different brand name on the dial. Yeah. Of course, there's nothing wrong with that, but I think most people would be more understanding of this style of copy. So yeah, there's plenty of these in AliExpress.
Does Seiko use VK or the Mecha Quartz in their own watches?
They do.
Yeah, not often though. I think they sell more than they use for themselves.
Yeah. I had an SSB, which was obviously a chrono from Seiko. The strap on it was dire, but it was maybe 250, 260, something like that, and it had the VK movement, and it was fantastic. It's just, it goes back to, for me, it's that reliability thing.
Yeah.
You just go, you don't need to worry about it. At worst, if it breaks, it breaks. It's $200 to replace it.
I think we're all at the stage in our watch collecting journeys that we have a number of watches. How many watches do you want to set every time before you put them on?
Yeah.
You know, and as you said earlier on, how many watches do you want to service? Because they're all kind of expensive time bombs ticking away in our boxes. And these ones simply aren't. You know, dollar battery, do it yourself, every couple of years, and it'll run merrily away.
I think, you know, again, looking at that service component, even if you I don't know how many people actually factor in what you're going to be spending on service and actually how long it's going to take. I went into the Omega boutique at Bondi probably about a month or two ago, and they said it's sitting at about 9 months at the moment
For
to
a
get
service?
speedy service.
You're joking. Wow.
And again, you know, the other thing is you want to take it to a third party like a watchmaker.
Yeah.
You know, just as long.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, probably not to the same standard that Omega will do it to. I don't know. I mean, that's my perception. But you're just stuck, and the cost is, you know, it's like charging for you know, tradie services. You know, like there's a demand there, so you can charge whatever you want, really. I don't think people factor in how much that's actually going to set them back when they buy those watches.
That's true, and I think servicing is not something that's usually talked about when at the point of purchase.
No, certainly not when people want you to buy their watches. They're not. Did you ever talk about it when you were selling people Zeniths? Did you?
Yeah.
No. Did you actually?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was trained properly, so I was trained
I see.
to talk about servicing. Like, you know, every 3 to 5 years you need to have your watch serviced. But you know, the official line and what I actually do personally, it is quite different.
Yeah. If you're wearing it every day, I guess you have to service it every 3 to 5 years. So there's that kind of.
If you're rotating through boxes and boxes,
and boxes,
watches, then
what do you actually? How often do you actually have to service them?
Yeah.
So there we are. That was my next one. Pagani, Patek style. Yeah, it's all right actually. It's maybe a little,
really nice.
a little tubby, but that's okay. I'll get rid of the mesh. I'll put that on a piece of, you know, nice brown leather or something, and that'll be another one for the box that I don't have to set when I want to wear it.
It's nice to see it in the flesh, because when you look at it on the site, how real does it look? And that was actually the purpose of my, like, why I'd actually set the channel up, because I had ordered watches online, not from Aliexpress, but from watch retailers, using stock materials and getting it. And this is nothing like what it looks like. So that was the purpose of doing the channel, was just to show people what watches look like in real life. So it's, you know, like I say, Aliexpress is a lot better now, because I think they do tend to use either videos that they've taken off YouTube, or they've got some professional footage in there that makes it look at least a little bit like what you're going to be getting.
Yeah.
I know some of the stores they actually use a video of a person filming the
Yeah.
actual product and then flipping it through, and I've
got copyright violations left, right, and centre from little
people using
bits
your
of macro.
videos. Yeah.
Which I don't know why they're doing that, because that's not going to help sell them. But you know, they'll use whatever footage they can get, and you know, I suppose in some respects it's a compliment, but at least it shows what those watches look like in real life.
Well, I just checked. 200 meters of claimed water resistance.
For a chrono, I mean,
that would be a miracle, frankly.
How far? Because you do have a pressure tester.
I do have a pressure tester, which I gloriously misused for a video, and actually I managed to blow one watch up, which was kind of the point of the video. So it did have a purpose, but yeah, only 6 bar, 60 meters. So I can't properly pressure test. They cost about a grand 1,500 Aussie for a proper pressure testing rig. But there are channels out there, YouTube channels that do it, that kind of beyond the press, where they're blowing stuff up and cracking crystals. A lot of fun to watch once or twice.
I know, just as long as it's not your watch they're doing.
Yeah.
I think again, you know, my first real watch was a Seamaster GMT from back in the Brosnan Bond days.
Nice.
I liked the blue one.
Yeah. But
every recruitment consultant out there was wearing them. Sorry to anybody who
no disparaging. That's your first apology there to the recruitment consultants of the world.
About 63. So I wanted something slightly different, and that had 300 meters of water resistance, and more to the point, it didn't have that bloody helium.
You didn't like helium?
Yeah, the wart.
Really? The only interaction I had with helium was when I was inhaling it from a balloon with the kids trying to make them laugh. So that watch, 300 meters water resistance, and again, it's so much water resistance over and above what you need. And like I say, you know, all of these watches that we've got for everyday application, they're absolutely fine.
Yeah.
By and large, you're going to get a couple that are, you know, aren't right, but you know, if you take them in a bath or put them in red hot water, then you're going to have problems. But it's by the by, you know, you're getting something that's waterproof.
Yeah, my 6-bar tester, I think all bar 1 watches passed the test. And if it can do 50 meters of water resistance, which is swimming, you know, vigorous swimming, that's fine. That's completely fine for the vast majority of people. So.
I did happen to see, this was a couple of years ago, a guy at Cook and Phillip Pool, which is a swimming pool in Sydney, and it was a guy who was in the therapeutic pool, I think they call it, and he got a speedy on under the water, and I couldn't help myself. I was like, mate, please take it off, and he's like, no, it's fine, it'll be fine. I'm like, please just lift up out of the water. I want to start with his wrist out of the water for him, you know. But yeah. Strangely enough, though, actually, I might edit this out, but going into this library, I saw a guy dead set who must have been 15 years old, wearing a white gold blue sub.
Ooh.
That's the eastern suburbs.
I was tempted to go as a knockoff, but maybe it probably isn't.
Yeah.
I wanted to take the photo just to show you guys. Like, this is where we are.
We're in Rulara, so that's fine.
Yeah.
The librarians all have white gold subs.
These are like Cartiers.
Right, so what's your next watch, Al?
Okay, my next one, I'm going to go down the rabbit hole here, and it is unashamedly a homage.
Okay.
And it is, there we go. It is the Explorer 2 homage from Pagani. Now, I've had a couple of these.
Yeah.
So I'll put it up there for you to see. So the first one that I had was the V1, was it, with the Pearl DG movement?
Yeah.
Slightly larger at 42 mils. That is 40 mils, I think, or 41, but relatively smaller than the original. But it has the Seiko GMT movement, so the NH34, is it? Mm-hmm. The loom on it is a hell of a lot better than the original, and it just fits a lot better. I found that the original version, when I put it on my wrist anyway, it just looked too large. So that's a little bit more in line with what the Rolex version looks like. And according to whatever he's saying about the NH34, it's going to be a much more reliable movement.
Yeah, 100%.
The one thing I would say though is the comments that I get on my channel, and I think we talked about this before we started, is people whinging about the fact that they've got a dodgy one or this and that. People really need to take that into perspective. Like, you're going to get some watches that are faulty on or dead on arrival. Mm-hmm. Personally speaking, I've had 30, 40 watches and they've all been fine. Right. And the way in which I wear them in rotation, I've never had any issues with any Chinese-made movement or the accuracy, because again, I'm wearing it for 1 or 2 days and it's losing 4 or 5 seconds a day. Like,
yeah, it doesn't matter.
Really doesn't matter.
You put it back in the box and pick something else
up.
up.
My life's not that accurate and organised. But yeah, that's the latest one.
Oh, interesting.
The loom on it is a hell of a lot better, though, I must say.
I have a
yeah,
look
of
at
course,
this one?
absolutely, go.
Because you know that the Rolex, the 42mm Rolex, wears really awkwardly.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the original Mark 1s were very true to the Rolex, whereas this, that is like a 40. That wears more like one of the older 40mm.
And again, even at full price for that, which I think is about 180, something like that.
Yeah.
You're just getting so much watch.
You definitely are.
I mean, again, you look at the NH34, which is the 4R34, which Seiko use in their SKX GMTs that are out. That's I was looking on Starbuy actually. Yeah. And those watches are 700, something like that. I think that's probably a median sort of price.
Yeah.
Again, 180. You're taking 500 odd bucks plus straight away.
And this one has sapphire, whereas the SSKs have hard legs.
Yeah.
I did a head-to-head between the 42mm Pagani and the 42mm Polar Dial Explorer. Mr. X had one. He still does have one of those. And some of the macro shots of the bezels, there was not really much to pick between them. Yeah. Yeah, obviously it's a nil point for originality.
No. But then I can't off the top of my head state the references, but there's homaging going on between luxury brands as well.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I mean, with homages. There's big Swiss brands doing that as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like for me, the argument is, it's not just with budget end watches. There is copying to some level or extent across luxury brands as well. So it happens at all price points. Again, I suppose if you don't like homages, you don't like them.
Yeah.
But if it's something that, if you want the look and you want it at a reasonable price point, then I don't see anything wrong with it at all.
No.
I certainly, and I will say, going down the avenue of getting a replica for review on the channel, putting that on and going, God, it looks like it, but it isn't. It's a very different experience when you put a homage on, because you know that it's not what it's pretending to be. It just looks like it, so it doesn't give you that nasty aftertaste, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's not. You're not.
It's not a lie. You're not.
No.
You know.
No.
It's a copy. It's a blatant design copy, but it's not trying to convince anybody else that it actually is a Rolex, because it says Pagani design on the dial.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I hadn't seen one of the slightly smaller ones. Definitely more wearable for most people. Female end links as well.
Yeah. I think that the previous one had male.
Yeah, like the Rolex, and it wears
sits,
big and awkward, and it's not that great.
It
so
had a sort of a pie dish
nicer
effect to it. It was just like a dustbin lid on your wrist. It looked bigger than what it should.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
I did notice that one of the brands, I can't remember, not Suge, it might have been Suge's actually. They've released an Explorer 2, but the bezel on it is really big. It makes the dial look very small. You'll see it when you're looking around Aliexpress, but that to me is pretty good.
Oh, that's good.
All right.
Cool.
So now, not all experiences are positive. And I think I've, apart from buying a sort of good spectrum of various movements, I've also had quite a few different experiences. So this one, I'm not too happy about the service. The watch itself, I quite like. So this is a look. So I'll just say what I didn't like about it. I ordered a stereo dial, and the moment I opened it up and I saw the branding on the dial, I was like, ah. And to be honest, I wouldn't have minded so much if the brand was halfway decent English.
Yes.
Like Harlan or Hruodland or something wasn't an actual word. But
what is it, Sam? What is it? It's
I struggle to pronounce it. It's
you're not alone.
It's a Hruodland.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So what's your best attempt at that one?
Hruodland.
Yeah, I go for Hruodland.
Yeah, it sounds
so yeah, we all
like a Dutch brand.
Put a slant on it somewhere. Heuer,
Yeah. So I saw the brand and like, really? I messaged him straight away, and I said, look, if you have a stereo dial, just send a dial. I can put one on here. Reply was, yeah, sure, we'll send one out to you when we find one. I'm still waiting. I'm not counting on them sending anything to me.
Sorry, where are you going to get that dial replaced?
Well, they'll have to send one.
They'll send the whole watch, won't they? Was that what they said they were going to send the whole watch?
I asked just for the dial.
Did you? Oh, right.
Can you do the dial? Can you do that yourself?
Let's get it to a watchmaker to do it.
Why? They've charged you more than the watch.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
So while we're talking, the SD1970, I think I put it next to something that was fairly strong magnet.
Okay.
Right.
So it needed to be demagnetized. The watchmaker did tell me that it needed to be serviced and a few bits replaced. But you know what he charged me to do that? $90. Oof. So I'm sure it was just magnetized. The point I'm trying to make is when I thought it was actually a movement issue, I sort of emailed a few watchmakers and said, hey look, if I get a watch movement shipped in, they just laughed at me like $500, mate, and it will take three months.
Yeah,
right.
So you can't really do a great deal. And that's one thing to factor in is, these are nice watches, but there is an element of when they go wrong, you're probably easier just to chuck it or try and salvage what you can for spare parts, and just get another one. And that doesn't really sit well with me, because I like to try and extract as much value out of something as possible. But they're not throwaway things. They're really nice. But I love that. I don't mind. I don't mind the text on that dial, to be honest.
Well, to be honest, it's small enough, and you can't really tell what the letters are anyway.
But when it's not what you wanted,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I've gone back onto the store, and there's been quite a few feedback saying, "I ordered a stereo dial. You sent this."
Okay.
So it's not a one-off mistake.
Yeah.
They were actively making this mistake.
I think there is a bit of a policy sometimes of ship first and ask questions later.
Yeah.
You know, people will generally deal with it because it's like, oh well, you know, what are you going to do? You buy something from China, you're not going to send it back because you pay for postage.
Speaking of, they offer the free return policy,
Oh, do
which
they?
I only just saw.
All right, well that's a surprise.
So I should have taken that up when it was within the return period. But you know, I like the watch. I wanted the red dial or the burgundy dial. It's a, and I think it's a much more faithful reproduction of the original Czech.
And what is the original? I'm not familiar with the.
It's the Czech Air Force. It's got the Magitech. So if you can read that.
On the back.
So it's a re-edition of the original pilots from back in the days. Longines did a reissue just very recently, but they added crown guards to it.
Yep.
Which made the case look a bit too bulky in my opinion. This is more how it looked like originally. So it's a very it's like a lesser known pilot watch.
Okay, it's very nice actually.
Yeah, it's really well done. And it runs an automatic ST17 movement.
Right.
So yeah, pretty decent movement.
And
this
automatic
one-
as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a bit more expensive. I think this was 220, 230
Right.
shipped.
it's a burgundy dial.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. Did it come in other colourways?
Sorry?
Did it come in other colourways?
Yeah, it's a really nice navy blue, which I quite liked as well. It's a dark green dial. Of course, the black. But yeah, I went with burgundy because I really like the burgundy dial reversal. Kind of for what they're charging for,
Yeah.
so I thought I'll go for an alternative. But apart from the branding on the dial, I actually really like this watch, and it's actually on the original strap that it came
I was going to
with.
say, look, every time you open up the watch roll, I do go, that's a really nice strap,
Yeah.
but I know it's
Oh,
not the
it's
stock
not the one that came
and that,
with.
But that is,
But
that's
that's
good.
the original strap. I mean, it's not branded, but it's the strap is actually really nice as well.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy with the strap. So I've kept the
that's-
watch on the strap.
Again, we're looking at the watch, but the straps on some of these watches, if you wanted one of those, like I know I had a Citizen I got from Starbuy. It was on a special, it was like $200 or something, and it should be retailing for 800 or something. They were selling it like below cost, and the price that watch was sold at, somebody had ordered it, I think, on a rubber strap, and Deepak was saying that the guy said, "Oh, look, I actually want to get the bracelet." You know what the bracelet cost? $250.
More than the cost of the watch. Yeah.
And that's again over double what you'd pay for this entire
yeah.
for the
For the
entire SD1970, and that sort of puts it in perspective. In some respects, when you start ordering and you go down the rabbit hole of Aliexpress watches, you just sort of get spoiled sometimes. I mean, again, looking at this where it was 300 and something versus 170 or 180 is typically what I pay for a Pagani. I'm like, God, should I spend that much? It's ludicrous, really.
Yeah.
But that's really nice, Sam. That's a good one. I hadn't seen that before, but I will definitely have a look for that myself because that is pretty. And yeah, I could cope with Hruodland on the dial. Some of the names, I've made videos about some of the names. There's some stuff that I just won't touch, and there's some stuff that is just comedically bad. They make beautiful watches, but employ somebody to do a little bit of marketing for you, and you'll sell more of your beautiful watches.
And I'm just surprised at how proud they are of this weird spelling of whatever this term is.
Yeah,
because
who
it's
knows?
Over their boxes, they're...
Yeah, I guess this doesn't mean much to us. It's probably, maybe it means something to somebody who's German speaking, but...
Alright, so thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. That's the important one. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Thank you.